Whoa, I wonder whose they think it is.
Well, we don't need the
Probably
shroud
some
to have paintings.
Bob of Nazareth.
Larry of Schenectady.
What if he was shaped like Jack Black? Like, I mean, like he isn't this tall, kind of slim, hippie-looking guy.
A lot of olive oil, man. A lot of olive oil. You could, put on.
He was loud. He was boisterous. He would make fart jokes, whatever fart jokes would be at the time. Like he
actually. I would love to see a Jesus movie with Jack Black as a fun Jesus.
This sounds like an idea from a youth minister I had when I was a kid, to be honest.
Oh, were you in the youth ministries?
I wasn't, no, but it's a long story, but the Free Methodists would have like really good snacks, and I was friends with a bunch of kids who went to their church, so I would go sometimes.
You would go for the snacks?
I was Catholic. The Catholics didn't have snacks. It was, you went to catechism because you were supposed to.
The competition had better onboarding
totally.
perks.
But I like this political and religious.
I think it's pretty tame. It's okay.
Okay. When I go to Twitter, I still am going to say like, been breathing a lot of oxygen today.
Wait, that could trigger some kind of global
climate change debate.
Exactly.
And you've been expelling CO2 as a result.
Yeah, well, lucky for you, some people don't have that chance.
Yes. You know, humble brag. I think I might just start doing that just once a day. Tweet something like super tame, obvious.
Just to see.
Who's watching?
Yeah. Who will take issue with it? Man, I've been experiencing a normal unit of gravity.
I think that would be interesting. You know, what is the least controversial statement you can come out with for the age of the internet?
But you can ask it as a question so that you can still get some responses. So anybody else feel like gravity is exactly at 100% today?
Yeah.
Well, it depends where you are.
Well, okay.
On the planet.
Who else has just been really enjoying the atmospheric unit of pressure we've had today?
Again, it depends on your altitude.
Well, I see. I didn't state a number to give a little like. I guess I could say units.
I wonder if you wouldn't. Yeah.
Darker Deemer in the chat was like hashtag social acceptance warriors. That may be the greatest hashtag ever made. I just don't want to offend anyone. Oh my gosh. All right.
I'll need control. Or did you give it to me?
I sneaked it in there. I think you should have it. Let me know if you don't.
All right, let me hide myself. It's this new window. It's a
hide your kids, hide your wife.
Hide yourself.
Hide my kid.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself before you fleece yourself.
Sure. All right, here we go. Y'all ready?
You're ready for this. Okay, never mind. Keep going.
The Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by listeners like me. To find out more, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, the 18th of October, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Patrick Beja, host of Pixels, the Phileas Club, and co-host of our Tuesday shows on DTNS. How are you, Patrick?
I am excellent. I'm ready to do a fantastic show because we have a Brian on the show. And that always means quality.
One of our many Brians, Brian Ibbott, host of Coverville, co-host of The Morning Stream, is on. And we're all here because we're going to talk about the PlayStation VR because we all got a PlayStation VR. Is that not correct?
So far, that statement is accurate.
All right. Trying to be non-controversial in this day and age. Yeah, so it started, Patrick got the PSVR and wanted to talk a little bit about his experiences using it since it shipped last week. And then Ibbott was sending me recommendations because he saw I did an unboxing on YouTube. And so we're going to talk about our impressions actually using it, the games we've talked about. We are also going to talk about Google's Pixel. And in fact, Roger went and dug into a bunch of the reviews out there to give you an idea of what people think of that. The Microsoft research team announced its speech recognition technology has reached a word error rate of 5.9%, putting it on par with human transcribers. That's an important milestone to note in speech recognition. And Amazon is extending free unlimited photo storage to up to 5 family members of its Amazon Prime service. Isn't that nice of them? They don't even charge you more for it. The perk is called Family Vault. Now, here are some more top stories. That's the beginning of the show. There we go. All right, Google Pixel and Pixel XL review highlights are out. Essentially, what Roger found was everybody seems to think the voice assistant works well, but can get tricked up sometimes by some basic questions. Most reviewers are annoyed that the phones aren't water resistant. They do feel the phone is snappier than the Galaxy S7, although the New York Times mentions on Geekbench the phones run slower than a Galaxy S7 test. Everybody raves about the camera's image quality, although some question whether it, in fact, is in fact the best phone as Google phone camera, as Google claimed. They do compare it to the iPhone 7, though. The New York Times found the images to be a little cold, with cyans and magentas exaggerated. Mossberg found the images to be a little oversaturated. Battery life was rated better than previous Nexus and Google phones, and overall very good. Mossberg said it didn't reach the advertised runtime for him. Dieter Bohn over at The Verge said that he got 2 hours more out of the Pixel than he usually gets out of the iPhone. Bottom line, most reviewers found the phones to be solid performers, good phones all around. They are same price exactly as an iPhone out there, and roughly the same as a Galaxy S7. Roger, anything? Let's bring you in here real quick. Anything to add to that roundup that you found in common?
So what the general consensus I get with the phone is it's a really, really good phone. It's like probably one of the best, if not the best, Android phone on the market. And essentially what are the major sticking points are just kind of issues that people already have. Not issues, I say, but kind of comparisons again with the iPhone 7. For example, photo quality. If you're super into photography and you want the absolute best kind of phone camera that you can get, I mean, the Android Pixel or the Google Pixel is a pretty good phone, but depending on who you speak to, the iPhone 7 does it much better. And if you actually look at it, it does a much better job of pulling out detail. Now, whether it's down to JPEG processing or image processing in firmware, that's up for debate. The other thing is people like Assistant, but as you were saying, it got tripped up on some minor things. For example, one of the reviewers they asked Assistant, what time does Westworld start, or what time is it available on TV? It pulled up an IMDb of Westworld, and then he said, okay, well, I'll follow up, what time is this on? And he basically got the current time from the phone. It's like it's 7 or whatever.
Dieter Bohn had a similar thing in his video where he asked for the time of an event, and he said, great, add that to my calendar. And it said, what would you like me to add to your calendar? He was like, the thing you just said.
So it works well in certain aspects, but more complicated, I guess, more, follow-up questions to the same question can trip it up a little bit, because I believe maybe it's not assuming to have a constant conversation about the same topic.
And Google Assistant will be coming to other Android phones. It seems like, and tell me if this is what you found in reading throughout the reviews, it seems like what they're saying is the build quality is good, the phone is snappier, the integration of the software with the hardware seams to pay off with a really good working phone. And it's nicely designed.
It's nicely designed. It's very fluid. You definitely get the feel that it is basically they were created, the OS, the UI, and the phone were all developed at the same time in order to give that very slick, fluid feel. And for the most part, people love the battery life. People think like, yeah, this totally rocks. Average 10 to 12 hours. Depending on which model you have. The larger one, of course, giving you more because there's more space to pack the battery. Although Mossberg was a little grumpy that didn't reach the advertised runtime between charges for him.
Patrick, Brian, would either of you be swayed, should you need a new phone today, which I know neither of you do, to maybe jump in and spend Apple prices for a Google phone?
I'd consider it. I'm so entrenched in Apple products with iPads and iMacs and stuff like that the synergy between everything is a super, an important piece to me. However, there are some aspects of the camera aspect is interesting to me. I don't know. I'd have to try one out, but personally, probably not.
I will add this one thing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Patrick. That if you definitely want a good phone camera, the iPhone 7 phone or camera is actually optically stabilized, and it isn't on the Pixel.
Oh, okay.
So
that's basically, I think, one of the reasons why people gravitate towards the iPhone. One of the many reasons. Although some people like the colors of the S7, the Galaxy S7, a little bit more, and the formerly known phone Note 7. But for me, I'm an iPhone user, just like Brian, and if I was to go to Android, it's the opposite. I think I would not consider any other phone than the Pixel. I think getting the experience from Google, the purest possible, is probably what I would be gravitating towards. And I considered a Nexus phone for a little bit a while ago because it was the Google experience. So, that is maybe it's the Apple-iness expressing itself in the Android world, in the sense that I would like the experience that was designed by the people who did the OS. So for me, if I was to go to Android, yes, I would not consider another one. It would be the Pixel or nothing, probably.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at that because one thing I love about my Nexus 5X is the fingerprint on the back. I find that to be infinitely preferable. Granted, if it's sitting on a flat surface like a table, you have to pick it up to unlock it. But most of the time, I prefer it, and that's what the Pixel has. So I would be tempted myself, and if you are tempted as well out there, it comes out on October 20th. Meanwhile, Patrick, there's another way to get a new Android phone.
Well, guess what? Samsung is setting up exchange booths at airports for Note 7s. The first booth was set up at Seoul's Incheon Airport, most familiar to Apple fans, as the place their iPhone was stole during shipping recently. New booths are opening in airports in Australia and elsewhere, where you can trade in your Note 7 for another Samsung phone. And a law firm in the US has filed a suit on behalf of plaintiffs who say they were left without phones for weeks because of the Note 7 recall. They are asking class action status.
Yeah, so okay, two different things there, right? One being that Samsung very proactively out there for people who haven't been paying attention to say like, hey, instead of having to reschedule your flight, which I got a long notice on Saturday from Virgin America saying, we won't charge you to reschedule your flight if you show up with a Note 7. I was like, what a great way to skip the change fee. Just find a Note 7. But you won't be allowed to take it in. You cannot even go through security with it. At least that's what they said. Now I've heard different things elsewhere. So Samsung very proactively saying like, hey, let's make this easy for people so they don't have to miss their flights potentially. At the same time, though, I wonder if you give up your class action status if you do that, should something like this catch on.
Probably. I'm more worried about the person who's working in a little box in the airport with potentially 50 Note 7s all compactly, held together in one little area next to them. I don't think I want
if
that
one
job.
catches fire, probably.
Right.
But they probably have this. They have the kit, the return kit with
That
multiple
pouch.
layers of different pouches that are completely flame retardant.
Yeah, I hope they're not.
Yeah, I'm guessing
them into a bin.
You know what? I think by now they're probably taking this very seriously. And as much as we're making fun of this, is we've been discussing with my friends and some of my co-hosts what they can do now to start repairing the brand. And I think the best thing they can do is, first of all, do this, take it as seriously as possible, and at some point in a few weeks, a couple of months, come out and explain exactly what happened. Because the problem we have now is that no one knows. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of room for jokes. There will still be room for jokes, but at least if we know what happened, you can at least start the process of repairing your trust in them. At this point, they should just shut up, do this, take all the phones back, take the hit, and work on finding out what the hell happened.
Let's look forward to the next version of phone service at the 4G, 5G Summit in Hong Kong on Tuesday. Australian carrier Telstra announced it will launch its commercial gigabit per second capable LTE network in partnership with Ericsson, Qualcomm, and Netgear over the next few months. So if you're in Australia, you'll be able to get a Netgear MR1100M mobile router, one of those mobile Wi-Fi hotspots that will supposedly, with the service available in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, get a gigabit down and 150 megabits up. Because I always want the up for streaming, and why they always limit the up just offends me. But nevertheless, a gigabit down from a Wi-Fi hotspot, if you're in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, is pretty compelling. At the same summit, Qualcomm announced its Snapdragon X50 5G modem, capable of 5 gigabit per second connections. Qualcomm expects to launch the hardware in 2018, but it's really meant for 5G manufacturing, for people who need test devices out there. But it's the first big 5G modem, first 5G modem from Qualcomm.
This is, can't wait for the future to be here. At some point, maybe we're not going to need wired connections anymore, right? Right, Tom?
I mean,
we have 4G, 4K, 8K, VR. That's coming. It's never going to happen. I understand that now.
Sure. Maybe 6G though. Like, I'm not even joking when I say that, because I remember thinking, okay, there's just no way you can stream over a 3G connection. Like, you can eke it out if you have to, but it just doesn't work. And then LTE came along, and it's like, well, you know what? You can actually do it. It has fewer problems, but you can actually do it. Getting up to a gigabit per second, I think, would make it feasible at 1080. And then, when you get up to 5G, 5 gigabits per second was going to be fine for HD video all the time. It might be similar to LTE on 4K and stuff like that, but we do seem to be getting a little closer as we speed up.
To stream 1080p 60 frames per second, you need 3 to 5 megs up on Twitch. So definitely the problem is not the maximum theoretical speed. The problem is the speed we're getting now. However, if I want to be, how do you call it? Negative Nancy, negative something.
Negative Nelly, perhaps.
Nelly, there you go.
Yeah, Debbie Downer.
Either at any first name that starts with N would work there. The preview of what's going to be needed for VR in the future, the screens for your eyes to not notice the pixels, was around 16K resolution. So we still have ways to go.
There are always, I think you're right. Like, what is cool is that, hey man, I can stream audio over my phone, no problem. I couldn't do that, several years ago, but there's always something. And whether it's going to be virtual reality, augmented reality, whatever that new thing is that we'll want to take advantage of. It's a very good point.
Yeah. Reports are still trickling out about expected new MacBook Pros. The most recent rumor comes from Japanese site Makotakara, which says its sources from the supply chain back up claims that the new MacBook Pros will only have USB-C and Thunderbolt 3 ports. No Apple announcements have yet been made.
Yeah, so we don't even have an Apple announcement that they're going to announce new laptops, which is starting to bother me, frankly, as I look at the broken screen on this one.
Right around this time of year, right? It is usually, October.
It's often an October announcement. Yeah, and it's October 18th. We're more than halfway through October. But the rumors come fast and furious here. And Otakara has a good reputation with having supply chain information. So this gives me some amount of hope. How do you guys feel about the ports, though?
Well, will it have a headphone port?
I think it will. I think we're not there yet. At some point, it might not have one. But the thing is, it can't not have a headphone port because it's probably not going to have a Lightning port. It's going to be
Right.
USB-C ports. But still, I mean, USB-C, and it's going to be painful to move from regular USB to USB-C. But at least that we understand because everyone is going to be using USB-C. And at some point in the future, hopefully, you know, in let's say in a couple of years, we'll all have USB-C. So everything that will remain will be USB-C and Lightning for those of us who want to use Apple products. However, no more MagSafe.
Right.
Apparently. It's going to be
Yeah,
USB-C. And what happens if you trip on your cable? You send your laptop flying.
You do. Yeah. No magnetic USB-C cables available yet. Although somebody's going to come out with, Griffin or Logitech will come out with a magnetic little thing that'll go into your USB-C port. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be an adapter for your MagSafe power to go into USB-C.
There
That
you
would,
go.
and then you could just do it yourself, DIY it.
Right. Wow.
I agree with you, Patrick, that we're all making the move to USB-C. I would still like just one USB 3.0 port still, but
No, I don't think. At that stage, if you have one, you're going to complain that you don't have more. I think USB-C is.
I mean, they insisted on giving me FireWire ports for years. Come on. Right.
Yeah, and the argument is, all right, if they give you one, well, I can use a USB hub to give myself more ports. But I guess you could already do that then with a USB-C. That gives you.
That doesn't.
That's fine. My laptop bag can handle the Lightning charge headphone jack split adapter, the USB-C to USB 3.0 port adapter, the MagSafe to USB-C adapter. It's fine. It won't be a problem. I got plenty of room.
The thing is, USB-C is one of those painful transitions of standards that everyone is going to go through. Yeah. So it's a very different.
I know, right? It does feel different, even though if it may be as annoying. It's not that you're sitting here going like, I can't use this Lightning pair of headphones on anything else. You'll be saying, okay, well, if I get USB-C adapters, at least that USB-C port is. I already have a USB-C port on my Android tablet. I already have one on my Android phone. So it's something that at least is moving into my life elsewhere.
Yeah.
Facebook's Messenger app has a couple of features out now. One of them is limited. Conversation Topics offers you suggestions for what to talk about with friends by listing events from that person's timeline, like maybe a song they recently listened to or something. TechCrunch notes Chris Messina found the feature on Messenger's iOS app, and it appears to only be available to a small group. More widely available is eBay's ShopBot bot. On Messenger. The idea is to help narrow down items when a simple search on eBay wouldn't work. It feels, from what I'm seeing in these screenshots, more like a choice tree where you're narrowing down to your particular item. It's less conversational, although eBay says it'll get better as more people use it. And the one cool thing it can do is take a picture and find similar listings based on the photo you give it.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of the ShopBot bot. I managed to say it the first time.
It's like ATM machine.
Maybe you guys will have more to say about that. About the conversation topic suggestions, though. I think it's very easy to make fun of, but it's actually just letting you know in Messenger what your friends have been up to. So maybe you're going to see, it pulls from the Facebook activity, of course. So it tells you that person has listened to that album or that person has been there. So it's not so much that it helps you find a topic of conversation when you're awkwardly sitting at a dinner table and you're like, hey, how about that Aleppo thing? It's more informing you of what they've been up to, and then you can start a conversation because you're interested in that thing. Maybe you're going to ask how the album is or how the vacation went or stuff like that. So I think that part is interesting. However, I wonder how much of the functionality of full Facebook is starting to seep into the Messenger thing, because this is basically an equivalent to the very old status updates of Facebook, where you would just say, hey, I'm whatever, I'm having lunch. So, all right. I didn't used to set up my status. Okay, I think that's apparent. But it makes it more complex.
If it would be nice too if there's a way for you to basically have a few items that you can't or that you won't talk about on Facebook conversations. So don't bring up politics, don't bring up Harambe, don't bring up such and such. Like these are all off limits topics, even though I may have mentioned them in a previous Facebook post. Leave this stuff out.
Yeah, I hear that human beings will sometimes just want to talk to someone without a purpose behind it. And so I guess this is, if you see that they went to an event and you're like, I need to reconnect with this other human being. Oh, look, they went to the farmer's market. I'll ask them, how was that farmer's market this weekend? And now I am speaking with people and relating to them like a human.
It really strikes me when you're saying this. This was the original purpose of Facebook. You see what your friends do and you comment, you talk to them. And Facebook has become so complex, not necessarily in a bad way, but there's more and more stuff. You don't really do that anymore. You just comment to,
you just block people.
Prop yourself
is that
up.
what most people do?
Yeah, basically.
I don't use it very much myself, so I'm unclear.
But maybe it works better in the context of a messaging app because you're just going to have a one-on-one conversation and not comment on a public forum that everyone's going to see and reply to and heckle you for not saying the right thing. Right. Everyone, we're done. The teasing is done. What we've all been waiting for. Rockstar Games has finally revealed that Red Dead Redemption 2 will be the third game in the series, arriving fall 2017 for Xbox One and PS4, and a trailer arrives at 11 a.m. Eastern, Thursday, October 20th. I cannot wait for this, and I'm happy to tell you more.
Please tell me more. I did not ever play Red Dead Revolver. I did play Red Dead Redemption, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good Western game. I didn't finish it like most of my friends. What is thrilling you, Patrick, about Red Dead Redemption 2?
It was a little bit long in the tooth, but it was definitely fun. Brian, did you play through Red Dead Redemption?
I played through Redemption, probably got about 2/3 of the way through it before something else shiny pulled me away, but never played Revolver. Like Tom, I've only been a Redemptioner.
There are a couple of things interesting in this. The game itself was really good. It was basically a Grand Theft Auto in the Far West, which now with the the timing of Westworld is getting a lot of love. That context, everyone's waiting to get into these kinds of worlds again. Very highly regarded, probably one of the best reviewed games in the previous generation. Completely taken over from the developer of the initial one. It was Rockstar that took the franchise and that made it into Red Dead Redemption as it is. It's a very well-loved game, and it's just a good game because it's a good game. What I want to focus on, though, is that Rockstar Games is such a successful company, and it has the brand loyalty it commands is so immense. They don't care about E3. They're one of the few game developer companies who don't care about E3, don't care about events. They just teased an image on Sunday, which got over 100,000 retweets and 150,000 likes. In 24 hours, it's a little bit above that now because they've tweeted more. The image was a reddish background with the Rockstar logo in the middle of it, and everyone instantly knew it had something to do with Red Dead Redemption. And so, they have sold, I think the latest numbers are around 65 million copies of Grand Theft Auto 2. And they've been developing Red Dead Redemption 2 for a while. Sorry, did I say Grand Theft Auto 2? I meant 5, of course. The latest
I was going to say. I'm sure they've sold a lot of 2 as well.
Yeah,
you think you can get it on your phone.
So it's basically, it's going to be the game to watch, I think, for next year. And you're going to see a lot of Cowboys video game stuff in the next few days for sure.
All right. Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. Helps us pick the stories that we talk about each day. Submit yours and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Let's get into PlayStation VR. It is out. It started shipping last week. $399 gets you the headset. Now, there's lots of other bundles in case you don't have a camera. A lot of people don't, or if you want the Move controllers, because a lot of games, as Patrick will tell you, one in particular, really benefit or in fact need the Move controllers. And if you don't have a PlayStation 4, those are only $300. So the total cost of starting with PlayStation VR from the ground floor is $698. The Oculus.
Actually, you need a camera. It's you do need the camera, which you need to.
You do need to buy the camera separately. It's $50, right? So $750. The Oculus Rift alone is $599. That doesn't get you the PC. Now, if you already have a PC, that's fine. But let's say you need to spend at least $1,000 on a minimum spec PC, likely more, but we're going to be forgiving. That's $1,600. HTC Vive, $799 list price, so that would be $1,800. So this is definitely the most affordable option out there. But Patrick, would you start to recommend it?
So spoilers, immediately, I would not recommend this headset. I would not recommend any headset. I think the technology is interesting, and I have a lot of fondness for some of the experiences, which I'll get into in a little bit, but I think it's not baked. It's not ready. And the PlayStation VR is competent. It does its job. And the other headsets do their job a little bit better, but it's not like it's night and day between the cheap one and the super expensive one. None of them has such good resolution that you don't see the pixels anymore. None of them, even with the most powerful PC you can get, are going to render landscapes that are so realistic that you don't know you're in a artificial setting anymore. So I think the PSVR is a great VR headset for generation 1, but it needs to evolve significantly before I could recommend it to anyone who's not already an enthusiast who wants to get in on the ground floor.
Ibbott, how do you feel about it? Are you more enthusiastic or less enthusiastic?
Patrick, you ignorance. No, I'm not going to go there, but I've really been enjoying it. I actually feel like there are some resolution issues that if you're looking for them, you notice. But the games that I've been playing and the games that I've been enjoying the most are ones where you are playing in something that's a completely rendered and fictionalized environment. Super Block or whatever, Super Box,
Super Hypercube,
and things like that, where you're not worried about if that mountain looks real or if that tree you're about to hit looks real. These are completely fictionalized worlds, and the VR, the actual effect of the VR is so incredible. Now, I haven't tried a Rift, I haven't tried a Vive. This is my first real VR experience since Dactyl Nightmare, if we're going way back.
So no wonder you like it.
Yeah, exactly. This is head and shoulders above Dactyl Nightmare. I've really, really been enjoying this. And aside from a couple, kind of little complaints, it's a great solo experience. It's an okay group experience, like taking turns with it. It's not as easy to jump in with a group of people as it was for Wii bowling and stuff like that, which was, I think, another big revolution in game interaction.
Ooh, no, don't say that. That is, so sorry, I need to interject here.
Yeah, please do.
So first of all, I agree, it does its job very well. If I implied that it didn't, I misspoke, because once you're into the experience, you don't notice any of the flaws of the headset. But I think we should be careful not to compare this to motion gaming, because motion gaming was big for a couple of years, and then everyone put it in their cupboard and never took it out again. I think this is different. It's just not baked yet, but it's going to become something. So, it's not 3D TVs, it's not motion gaming, it's not going anywhere. So just wanted to mention that.
Sure. And I think I was comparing it to the Wii as more of a revolution in the way we play games, not comparing it to technology or
it's not a side by side. You're just saying here's another big step.
Exactly.
And I think Patrick's saying, like, yeah, but this is a step that will keep us going forward rather than just.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope 2 years from now I'm not sitting there, moving my PlayStation headset to get to my win.
Oh no, 2 years from now you'll be buying the new PSVR 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, but definitely been enjoying it. And one of my favorite recommendations to Tom was this game called Headmaster, which I want to hear your take on, Patrick, because I hear that you and I might have a different opinion on that.
Yeah.
I like Headmaster. Let me just explain what it is real quick. You're in a prison-like complex, and all you do is bat a soccer ball into a goal with your head. You don't hold a controller.
Nope.
You're in fact quite regularly admonished that you're not supposed to move your neck because they don't want you to hurt yourself. But it's a targeting game. So you're trying to target different points, trying to do different challenges and take different lessons. And it's got a little bit of a Portal vibe to it because, they're being polite to you, but you're very obviously a prisoner being put through this. Ibbott texted me yesterday. He's like, you have to get this game. I installed it. I got totally sucked in, was playing it. I love the fact, because one of my big problems is trying to use a controller when you can't see a controller. And I don't think any of the headsets have really figured that out to the best advantage yet. And I just love the freedom of like, hey, I don't even have to think about that anymore. But then I told Patrick that I had been playing Headmaster, and he's like, oh, well, that's very sad. You should have been playing a different game.
So I don't dislike Headmaster. I think again the experience is competent. It's kind of like the ocean descent, where you dive into the bottom of the sea with a little bit more of interactivity to it. But it's somewhat it's the same as all of the other VR experiences I've been having, which are okay. They immerse me in something different. It's fun, but I would play it for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then put it down and never think of it again. Maybe, for 2 days I would do it. Another kind of experiences have been the driving simulators and the battle tank and the Drive Club VR, things like that made me motion sick really quickly. You guys have told me that it didn't make you motion sick too much, or it passed very quickly, but for me, I couldn't play them for very long.
I love racing games. I'm bad at them, but I enjoy them. So I dived right into Drive Club, and I did a Facebook Live stream of me playing it for the first time earlier today. If you want to check that out at the Daily Tech News Show Facebook page. But essentially, there's a moment where I'm like, whoa, that's the first time I got a little vertigo doing a VR game. And I've tried the Oculus, HTC Vive, all of them. But when that one first took off, it really immersed me enough that I had to adjust. Once I adjusted, like, oh, I'm in a moving car, I need to tell my brain I'm in a moving car, I was okay.
Yeah, so hopefully, I've tried it a little bit, but it made me so motion sick I had to stop. So, I remember when we first started playing FPSs, I did get motion sick after a while, back in the day of Doom and Wolfenstein and all of those. So maybe it will pass. But really, the one I want to talk about is Batman VR, Batman Arkham VR. And because that was my first VR wow experience, and it was very intense. In that game, you have to get up, first of all, have to clear a little bit of space around you. You use the Move controllers, and that changed everything for me. Getting up means you can move around a little bit to get closer to something. Using the Move controllers means that your hands are detected in reality and rendered in the game. And that honestly is key to the immersion. The immersion that I felt in that game is like nothing I've ever seen in any gaming experience before. You can grab things in the world. You grab a postcard, pass it from one hand to another. It becomes natural, incredibly fast. And I could talk about this for a long time, and I did in some other shows. But the fact that you can, at some point, so you're playing Batman, of course, and at some point you have the rendered model of the Joker, and I spent maybe 2 minutes just standing around the model of the Joker. Basically, it was the Joker in front of me, getting super close to it. Like my face was a couple of centimeters away from the Joker's face, and he was following me with he was not moving, but his eyes were moving a little bit. I was looking at his rotten teeth. It was amazing. It's a short experience. It may be 90 minutes, but I had the biggest 6-year-old grin on my face that I have ever had playing a video game for forever. This is
one of the criticisms of it is that it doesn't have enough action, but it sounds like that's one of the things you liked, is it gave you the freedom to explore.
I think we're always thinking of new technology in terms of old technology initially. So we see what we like in the old technology and try to apply it to the new one. And very often we find out that this is not actually what works in the context of that new technology. I think Batman is the thing that Rocksteady made is starting to figure out what actually works in that new thing. And that kind of experience, that kind of feeling of presence is exactly, I think, what VR is going to be. And it's funny how it relates to what we were talking about last week about the Oculus Connect 3 conference, with the importance of the touch controllers, which mimic your hand so much more faithfully than the other controllers do. Because the thing is,
have you tried the HTC Vive with its controllers?
I haven't. No, I haven't tried that one.
It has a pretty good, and I argue better than the Move controllers, representation of you with hands and things like that.
I'm sure it does. I mean, with the Move, you can represent the hands, but I think the point I'm trying to make is that with VR, the uncanny valley is so much more important. Anything that takes you out of the experience, like you can pick up some things, and it brings you in, but then the things you can't pick up bring you out immediately. And the hands, you can close them to make a fist, but if you can't do anything else, right? So the realism needed for you to remain in the experience is so much bigger than in a regular video game. So anyway, I'm a VR almost convert, but I think we need a couple more generations, but I don't think it's going anywhere.
I see you in our chat room says, so what you're saying is don't get VR, but VR is awesome.
That is exactly what I'm saying. I mean, the reason I'm saying I don't recommend PSVR right now is that it's $400 to $500, and you need the Move controllers. You're getting half the experience if you don't have the Move controllers. Yeah. It's going to be $500 for what is now a 90 minutes experience with Batman VR. Give me 4 to 5 of those every year, and I think it's worth it. It's that good. At this point, I can't reasonably recommend it to someone who doesn't have $400 to throw away.
Brian, do you agree?
I do with a lot of that. The Move controllers are a must. It's we picked up PlayStation Worlds or PSVR Worlds or whatever it's called, which is kind of a demo disc, but a little bit deeper than the actual demo disc that you get with the system. And there's a section of that called London Heist, which is like you're in a Guy Ritchie film, basically. And we tried it with the regular DualShock controller, and then tried it with the Move controllers. With the Move controllers, you're picking up a cigar out of the ashtray, putting it in your mouth. The microphone picks up that you're making an inhale sound and an exhale sound and blows smoke out into the environment. It's an incredible experience. So yeah, you absolutely want to make sure that you have the Move controllers for it. I say buy it. I say I'm a huge convert. The feeling that I had playing Headmaster. Headmaster was the oh, I get it kind of moment for me. Like, this is such an amazing experience, looking around and seeing all this environment behind me and above me and below me and interacting with all these things, even with no controller in my hand. It was just such an amazing moment that I think everybody should experience this. For me, it's worth it.
Have you played Batman yet?
Not yet. I've been waiting to see all the reviews and go with recommendations. So that sounds like the next thing I need to pick up.
The only criticism
I'd be curious to hear what you say when you try Batman, if you liked Headmaster so much.
The only thing that I'm critical of so far, in every game I've played, I've had location drift. So I start calibrating with looking directly at my television, and I put my mask, because what it does, if you don't know, it's got sensors that it can see, and so it will show you where you're sitting and say, put your head in this box. So it calibrates, and I'll put my head in the box, and I see that everything's working. And then,
by the way, that's the ending to the 7 VR game that's going to be coming out.
Put your head in the box. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen 7. By the end of every game that I play, though, I find myself turned to the left when I'm looking forward in the game.
Too.
Has that? Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
It's happened when I've traded the headset. I've given the headset to somebody else to play. It's funny. It's never happened to me by myself. Have you taken the headset off, put it back on, and had that drift? Or it's okay?
I've had that too. It basically gets let's say 5 degrees off center. For some weird reason. And that's part of why I'm saying it's not baked yet. There are those little things that still bug you.
That's going to be fixable with a firmware or, a software fix.
Yeah. And the other thing for people who haven't ever tried this sort of thing again, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of wires. Basically, this thing has its own computer that you have to attach to your PlayStation 4 in order to have the power to do it. Sony did a great job of labeling cables and making it as simple as possible, but it's just complex in its nature.
Yeah, I would have liked some other location for the audio plug instead of halfway down the wire. I would have liked it like in the headset. Give me the controls on the wire.
Now that you mentioned that, why is the power? You have to turn the VR headset on separately. Why is the power button black on black, which is the same color as the other 3 buttons it's next to?
Yeah, that's a mistake. And why not give us a clip that allows you to clip the wire to the back of your shirt collar or something so that you're not constantly pulling it down with, sitting down on the couch or leaning against something. The other thing that I'm really, really looking forward to, and I know this has got to be mere months away, is being able to watch 3D movies, 3D Blu-ray movies using the PSVR. That's something I can't wait for.
I'll tell you one little hack. It's not much of a hack, really, but one little workaround thing that I did enjoy. Eileen wanted to watch a show off of our TiVo, so she turned the TV over to the TiVo, but the PlayStation was still running, and I still had the headset, and I was able to watch Netflix.
Right. Oh, yeah. Tina and I are looking forward to that. I'm dreading the day that she's sitting there watching HD TV and I'm headbutting invisible soccer balls while she's trying to do that, and she decides to put that on YouTube or something. But
you can use the regular apps that are in the PlayStation and just use the headset as sort of a second display. It's not VR in those cases, but yeah.
No, it displays basically a giant cinema screen in front of your eyes, which is okay, but it didn't. I also tried, I don't know if you tried the Little Star video app, which is basically 360 movies, which I thought could be fun. There was one in was it the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone? It was Yellowstone. And the problem there, that's why I was talking about VR in our 5G discussion. The quality is so low. You feel like you're watching an old worn out VHS tape. It's completely pointless, and that's streamed. Obviously you don't download the movie before playing it. So we're gonna need a bigger tube.
We're gonna need a smaller pixel.
Yeah. All right, folks, there you go. That's our impressions. Of course, take them with a grain of salt and make your own decisions. But I think 2/3 of us on the panel say hold off, and Ibbott says, go for it. If you've got the money, why not? If you have the means, I highly recommend it.
I highly recommend it. Wow, so much Ferris today.
Yeah. We got one message, not really one message of the day, but I've got a digest of the different responses we got to the conversation about a cashless society that we had with Veronica Belmont yesterday, reacting to Tim Cook's statement that he hoped Apple Pay would be the catalyst to get rid of cash. Bill Burlingame pointed out that poorer folks might not be able to take advantage of that scheme if you need a smartphone and pay for a data plan. Of course, we mentioned things like M-Pesa, which people on low incomes actually can have more access to banking in certain areas of the world. But I could see this being a problem in areas like the United States, where we have easy access to banking, but we don't have those cheap M-Pesa-like systems yet. Andrew said he's already living cashless, doesn't know anyone who carries cash, but he also doesn't see anyone he knows paying with their phone. It's all just credit card for him. Carl in Sweden lives the cashless life as well, in part because of a system called Swish that makes mobile payments and transfers simple. He says the downside is, of course, like everything that's not cash, everything you do is traceable. Nikolai in Denmark also lives in a largely cashless country. He raves about a contactless debit card called Dankortet He says, I must say that it is the most easy and hassle-free payment solution I've ever experienced. Several people pointed out that nations like to use their own currency as a lever, which they say would stop Veronica's idea of a global currency. I didn't get the impression Veronica was saying, let's just have one currency for the planet. I thought she was more saying you wouldn't have to think about currency conversion as much if you don't have to go and actually physically exchange cash. But that is a fair point about currency. And Robert wrote, imagine a Pokemon Go style app that allows you to fling a set amount of money at a device or person.
Is he imagining himself in some sort of strip club throwing money
making it rain, virtually rain?
Like, take my money and you just throw it. This would be a way to do that.
Yeah, works perfect.
And Patrick, you were saying you've got a similar cashless love.
Yeah, basically, I'm like Nikolai from Denmark. We've had for a couple of years contactless NFC credit cards in France, and there were security concerns. I thought it was, you think initially, how much faster is it to just to do this rather than to put the card and input the PIN number, because we have PIN in France we've had that forever, and actually it makes it so effortless that I love it. And when I'm in Finland, Finns apparently have a hatred for cash. I don't know, because they use credit cards for everything all the time. You never carry cash with you. And combine the two, it means, paying. I realize how first world problem this is, but paying is a breeze. You just put out your credit card, put it on the receiver for half a second, you've paid, you're done. And again, I really thought I was not going to care for it, and the security concerns would make me a grouch, but I actually love it. Now, when I do have to put in my credit card in the machine and input my PIN number, I get grumpy and I'm like, oh, why? What is this?
Yeah.
2015? So,
I did love taking my Suica transit card in Japan and buying a can of premium Boss coffee with it out of a vending machine. That was a magical moment. 100%
it is
agree.
magical.
All right. Thank you, Brian Ibbott, for joining us and sharing your thoughts about the PlayStation VR and the other stories today. Of course, you can find Brian on the morning stream every morning at frogpants.com. What else you got to tell folks about?
Well, Coverville, obviously, over coverville.com, and a brand new album. This is kind of a new announcement. Andrew Allen, who I've worked with on several albums, he and I are currently finishing up a Kickstarter for a brand new album where he does covers of every song from all 30 Nintendo games available on the new Nintendo Classic Console. So Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Metroid, Mario, all that stuff. So keep your eyes out for a new Kickstarter from me and Andrew Allen this week.
So that hasn't launched yet. Does it have a name?
Jazzness. NES, Jazz, NES.
Jazz and NES.
Jazzness.
I will definitely keep an eye out for that. Patrick Beja, anything to tell folks about before we get out of here?
Well, if you like video games, Pixels is a show I could recommend. I went on an even longer review of the PlayStation VR in the latest episode. And so, if you like general gaming news, you can get all of your information there. It's once every 2 weeks. And the Phileas Club, of course, where we talk about news from different parts of the world, or rather with people from different parts of the world. You can find all of this at FrenchSpin.com. And I am Not Patrick on Twitter and Facebook.
Of course, the Daily Tech News Show, we endeavor to be the color commentary to your tech life and give you the context and discussion to help understand all that stuff going around you. If you like what we do, all we ask is you support us one way or another. There's all kinds of ways to do it at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. The main way to support us is our Patreon, patreon.com/DTNS. Big thanks to Zach and Barry, who just raised their pledges. Thank you, guys. And welcome to our newest supporters, Chris W. and Mark B., who just joined within the last couple hours, and all the folks who back us on Patreon. You guys are the best. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Come watch and be in the chat room at alphageekradio.com or diamondclub.tv. And our website, of course, is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with the aforementioned Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
A little longer show, but with Pixel and PSVR, I think it was I think it was good.
Warranted.
It was warranted. Yes, it was needed.
It was cherry pie.
Warrant reference. Well done.
Thank you for getting it.
Yes.
I didn't get it.
I make these references from time to time and nobody reacts. And then like a day later, someone on Twitter will be like, nice warrant reference.
Right.
All right.
What's warrant?
Warrant a title.
Yes. Warrant us a title.
I think we have one.
Which one?
VR is awesome. Don't get it.
Don't get it. A Pixel is worth 1,000 reviews. I like that.
Nice.
The next big G5 or 5G, 5G. Put a bot on it. The's nothing to VR but VR itself. Not Patrick. I am a virtual Batman. Pixwell. So in the French version, or like the French dub, does he also have a gravelly voice, or is it high pitched?
I don't play in French.
No.
I doubt though that he all of a sudden starts saying "Je suis Batman."
That would be pretty.
Alfred, come in here.
Patrick strongly, vehemently rejects. Friendo prompter, Pikachu, I choose you. It's not the VR we want, but it's the VR we deserve right now. I would change that to it's not the VR we want. It's just a VR we can
So
buy.
VR that's available for sale. Yeah.
It's the VR that current levels of science allows us to manufacture and sell.
People want the holodeck.
consumer rate.
People want the Star Trek holodeck
Sure.
Yes.
because that's a
Well,
goal.
which is
there's
coming.
a game coming. Yeah.
Bridge
and
Crew.
I bet you Bridge Crew, it's not going to be played for very long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't. The trailer didn't make it look very deep.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I think people immediately imagine something, and what they imagine. Oh, what's happening?
Oh, Tina!
Yeah.
Tina came in to steal batteries, and she was crawling on the floor like she's evading barbed wire, so that she
First
would
of all,
appear on camera.
tell her that if you're ever doing daily tech news shows, she can just walk in. It's totally fine.
Right.
Not a problem.
Will do.
It happens all the time. We see Sonia from time to time in the back of Patrick's shot.
Yeah, she walks around.
Mhm.
She tried the VR too, by the way.
What'd you think?
She liked the Ocean Descent VR world thing.
Mm-hmm.
She was amused by Batman, but not as giddy as I was.
Sure.
And she was more impressed by the experience of being in a different place, and she was laughing and going like, "Oh, this is fun! This is ooh!" And you know the kind of reaction you expect from.
I feel like I did Eileen a disservice because all my CD tray wasn't working. And I rebooted and it was fine, but I couldn't get the demo disc in when we first set it up. So I had her play that stupid platformer that you can download. And she got
the Wayward. No.
Wayward Sky?
No. Wayward Sky.
Wayward Sky.
Was it?
Yeah.
yeah, no pogo sticks Sky. Anyway, she was like, "Yeah, it's all right." I'm like, "That's probably not the best example of."
Yeah, I'm looking at the Metacritic scores just to kind of get an idea of what's recommended out there. Res Infinite has the highest score with 90.
Yeah.
Thumper at 84. Super Hypercube. Riggs is up there. I haven't tried Riggs, but that's the mech.
Is Batman not? On
Batman
the top
is
of Batman?
73. So it's just under green in the yellow. Yeah.
This is insane.
So I think not to be a jerk about it, but the Showbot says that VR is awesome. Don't get it wins.
Yep.
At 7.
Mhm.
I agree.
I like that.
Motion carried.
Cool. Do you mind if I bail so I can deal
No, get back to your wondrous, magical life of paperwork.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. thanks,
And then
Roger.
I'll get back to you, Patrick, on that day that we need swapped.
Excellent. Thumbs up.
If anybody doesn't realize, Patrick's got a house. Roger is buying a house, so he has to do a lot of paperwork, and he's miserable, especially today. Because today's the day where they're like, no, we need 6 versions of this, even if you didn't send us the blank pages, stuff like that. By the way, Tensor Guy's Holovect just got written up by The Verge. Check that out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Real holographic displays are becoming a thing by Ashley Carmen.
I really wish I could have afforded to back that. It's just out of my range with buying VR.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so cool,
the Kickstarter is like right on the edge of funding, and hopefully that'll give it a big boost.
I think that might give it a very big boost.
Oh, Patrick, your connection, your audio just got crackly.
Is it still crackly now?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Your video's nice and clear, so it's not a bandwidth issue.
Thing. It just sounds like a connection issue.
Is it different now?
No. Always good television, though. Now we can't hear you at all. Which is less crackly, but not ideal since we can't actually hear you. No, still nothing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you. You sound great.
Okay, that is weird.
Oh, and Ibbott, we just kind of hang around while I publish. So if you need to go.
Sure.
We have no end in sight.
If I do it, what I'll do is I'll just quickly disappear instead of saying goodbye or anything. I will just you'll all of a sudden just see a black screen and be like, "Oh, jeez, that guy."
like what Scott does.
Worse than Scott. He says, "All right,
Scott hangs up on everyone."
Yeah.
No, he doesn't say "talk to you later." What he does is make some really dumb joke.
That's right.
And then hang up.
Right. He's like, "May all of your pixels be blinky." Click.
Yeah.
The first couple of times he did that on Current Geek, I was like, "Oh man, I was gonna say something." And then I realized I really appreciate that. Because instead of the long drawn out, because we always have guests, and like, okay, well, thanks a lot. We'll see you later. It was just like, okay, thanks, great, bye. Out. Very efficient.
Agreed.
And then I still do the long drawn out thing on this show.
Well, it's okay.
What happened to yesterday's show?
Oh, I thought you were going to end the sentence as yesterday.
What happened to yesterday? What will happen to tomorrow?
That is one of the lesser known songs of John Lennon. Yesterday, I forgot to put the milk in the fridge.
That was Paul McCartney who did yesterday.
That's what I said.
It was really originally called Scrambled Eggs.
Scrambled eggs. I forgot to put the milk away.
I know. I'd love to see if he has any of the other lyrics written to Scrambled Eggs, because that is how he came up with the melody.
Well, it's
really?
Yeah,
it fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there's a demo version out there of Yesterday, it wasn't included on the anthology CDs, but I'd love to hear the actual demo of Scrambled Eggs.
Oh, I see what I did. Well, that's weird. That may explain something.
Very mysterious. You know what? It's midnight here, so may your glasses always be shiny.
Okay, Toadstool, bye. Oh, he did. He
Johnsoned us.
He totally Johnsoned us.
All right, well, I'll jump off as well.
All right,
I was really only sticking around for Patrick.
No worries. I would have done the same thing.
I'm just kidding. Hey, I'll see you in a month.
All right. See you in a month.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.